Beautiful. How are you today? I'm Tisha Dolby, and welcome to Power, Passion, and Purpose, where every woman has the opportunity to discover your powers, your passions, and God's purpose for your life. We will be diving into healing, growing, and maturing and becoming all that God has for you to be. Tune in every week on Sundays at noon on the Boss Up Houston Network. I'll see you on the inside. Have a great day. Hello. Welcome, beautiful. How are you guys doing? I hope everything is going well with you today. Many blessings and much love. Welcome back to Power, Passion, and Purpose. I love you guys. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to sit with me for a little while as we unpack some topics. Today's topic is understanding. And just like the previous topics that we covered, love, um, it's not a one and done type of topic. To break that thing down, to elaborate on it, to dissect it, takes more than one episode. But we're just going to scratch the surface today, and I'm just going to hopefully give you some revelation on your perception of where you are, where you're going, and what you're doing, and to add to your healing process prayerfully. So I'll start out as normal, like I usually do, and that's what the Webster's definition in the dictionary. And it says a mental grasp or to comprehend. The power of comprehending, the power to make experiences intelligible by applying concepts and categories. A mutual agreement, friendly, harmonious relationship is one that was like, oh, okay. So we come to an agreement and we understand the aspects of our relationships, or do we? So we're going to dive into that a little bit more. Um, then let's see what else. Sympathy is another definition they use. Endowed with understanding, to be tolerant. So when you talk about tolerance, are you really, really understanding? Or are you just going with the flow? Have you took the time to get into somebody's situation, to look at it from a different perspective, a perspective you may not necessarily agree with, condone, or even thought was an option? I like this topic because to move forward in life and to have grace and mercy for someone, you truly need to understand. And we mislabel people, we misjudge people, we condemn people, we hold people back from truly growing and truly healing and truly maturing for a lack of understanding. And we can use that sometimes as a tool to manipulate and control a situation, which adds to the trauma, adds to the place of brokenness, adds to the level of confusion and chaos. But when we take the time to truly understand what somebody is going through, why they got to where they are, then we can help them process all that information and walk them through healing, growing, and maturing, which makes them become who all they were destined to be from inception. Uh, let's see. So that's pretty much the definition. And we're going to get ready to take a break. And when we come back from our break, we're going to go into the next phase, which is me sharing my testimony and giving you concrete ways that I walk through understanding and applied it to my life. That way I could go back and help somebody else. And with that understanding, I was able to forgive. Because when you see life through a different lens and you see life through a different perception, forgiveness becomes easy. Giving grace becomes easy because everybody is on their own personal journey. Everybody's growing and maturing. And just because I understand something at a deeper level or I have had revelation don't mean the next person has. So that's where coming into holding space for somebody as they process for themselves is very important. But I want to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into how I was misunderstood, how I learned how to understand myself, how I learned how to process that so I have a better understanding of the next person. And I'll see you in a few minutes after this commercial break. Come back now.
Boss up, Houston. You know why? Right here.
This is the official Boss Up.tv with your host Shamir Bacon. Tune in and stay locked. Boss Up. Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Red Table Talk, the Estefans. Time to take the table to a whole new place.
It's coming to Miami.
3 different women, 3 different generations. We're loud, we're proud. Let's go.
We're talking about relationships, love, sexuality.
Oh my gosh. We all know that you are fuerte.
Yes, I'm a tough woman, but I'm very vulnerable.
Like muchas Latinas.
In order to move forward, you have to go to those places.
I like boys. I like girls. I like both.
Honesty will set you free.
We are putting all of that on the table.
Red Table Talk, the Estefans.
Be a part of the conversation. Only on Facebook Watch.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you got some information, enjoyed our sponsors, check us out, and you know today's topic, understanding. We got to walk in understanding every day. We got to walk in understanding every day. We got to understand ourselves. We got to understand how we show up and present ourselves, present those that we are connected to. And we have to have understanding of other people in their spaces, in their place in life. One of my big things is seeing past the person and seeing God. Because when I can see past the person and see past the hurt and see past the adult temper tantrums, as I call them. When we act out, we may be mean, we may be fight, we may suffer an addiction, and we mistreat those that are closest to us because we felt not heard. You don't understand where I'm coming from. You don't get me. How many times have you heard people say that? And how many times have you said that yourself? Growing up the way that I grew up left a lot of room for misunderstanding because it led to brokenness. It led to hurts and pains. It led to suppressing emotions. And I tell people all the time that if you lead with your emotions, you're not going to make the right choice. And it's about choosing to do right even in the wrong situation. Choosing to do right when you fell back in the corner. But in order to make these choices, you have to have an understanding of who you are and where you're going. So my little testimony that I'm going to share today, which I can pull from anywhere, but I'll just pull from it would be when I was raising my children. When I was raising my children, when I got to my fourth child, I decided that in order for me to instill in them love, compassion, joy, happiness, safety, and a strength within themselves to be confident and show up and present the best of themselves, I had to get an understanding of who I was. I had to shed those falsities that I grew up in, that guilt, that shame, because I had to get to the root of my trauma. It all tied back to the trauma of how I was showing up, how I was being perceived, which meant I was misunderstood. People thought that I was just angry. People thought that I was just mean. People thought a lot of things about me because I couldn't properly articulate how I was feeling. My communication skills was off. And my communication skills was off because I was speaking from emotion. I wasn't able to move my emotions out the way and clearly tell somebody how I was feeling or the standard how I wanted to show up. So all they saw was the rage, all they saw was the pain, all they saw, but everybody don't deserve that. No one deserves that. So for me to change and break that cycle in my home and be able to show my children it's okay to get upset, have your feelings, process them, and move past that, and choose to do right, choose to love, choose to forgive. But before I could do that, I had to heal. Unfortunately or fortunately, I tell people it's a double-edged sword with me. My children had to grow up in a home where they physically watched me walk my process of healing. They watched me instill. They watched me help others when I wasn't being helped. They watched me go when I was sick. They watched me figure out who I was as an individual and understand what I was born into and what I came from and what was spoken over me so I could clearly make a choice and pivot. All this is about pivoting so you can become. I chose after I lost my daughter that I didn't know how I was going to get to the tissue you see today. But I knew I had to start taking those steps of getting rid of those things that didn't make me feel good. And when I say get rid of those things that didn't make me feel good, I didn't like arguing. I didn't like being nasty to people. That's just not my nature. I'm a natural by nature, I give, I do, I serve, I open up my house, I feed people. I don't care. My house was considered a safe haven. And I was able to provide that because I healed. I'm always talking to you guys about healing because if you do not look in the mirror and say, ouch, that hurt, you are subconsciously putting up walls, subconsciously allowing yourself the ability to have what? Adult temper tantrums. And it surfaces differently in everybody. Everybody. Some people become addicts. Some people become alcoholics. Some people become abusive. Some people neglect their children. So that cycle of trauma just continues. It just goes into your children, and then your children start acting out, then you act out again, and then it's just a vicious cycle that somebody has to stand up and say, it stops with me. Now, would I sit before you and tell you I'm perfect? No, because nobody's perfect. The only perfect person is Jesus. But what I can say is I have no problem turning around and asking for forgiveness from somebody. I have no problem forgiving somebody for harming me or misunderstanding me. It's my responsibility to understand myself so I can clearly articulate my wants and needs to those connected to me. That way, you bring in accountability. Because once I've shared with you who and what I am, my standards, my expectations, you have the opportunity to say, I get it, I understand, I can meet this, I cannot meet this, and we can come to a decision. But when we put false expectations on people, we tend to put them in a box where we are not leaving room for understanding. And understanding only comes over time and building relationships and knowing yourself. A lot of the times I tell people, you can't expect you out of somebody else. And just because you get it, don't mean they got it. Or just because somebody's a certain age, don't mean they understand. And there's so many layers and so many directions that we can go with this, but I told you, we're going to talk about my children. One thing I understood was they were a gift from God. And they have a plan, and God has a plan and a purpose for them. So what I was able to see early on was how to nurture and help them, cultivate their gifts and talents so they could show up and to be their true selves. That was my understanding of how God wants us to show up. And me knowing that from a very young age, I was able to instill that in my children. So I tell people, and we go in situations where my children have a voice. They've always had a voice. It's not my job. It's my job to parent them, to protect them, to lead them, to guide them, but not to manipulate, control, or force them to be anything that I don't want them to be, that I want them to be. That's not my job. And to understand that just because I got it, they may not get it. And they got to go through their own thing. And they have to process their way. And they have to get it the way I can speak wise counsel. I can speak life. I can give them direction and support. That was where I came from. So now, as a coach, as having a nonprofit organization, I'm able to now show people how to see their triggers, see how that makes them feel, and see where they're going. So we can implement a strategy to get them to the best version of themselves that they want to be. And the core of that is understanding. You have to understand what you went through. You have to understand what you want. You have to understand where you're going. Then you have to work the plan. So it's almost that time again, guys. It's that time. And it seems like as I'm talking to you guys, there's so much more that I can go into. But, we only got a short period of time, and I'm always open for questions and comments to dive deeper. If there's something pressing, you can always reach out to us and we will follow up with you and let you know, or have that dialogue, or bring a question to the table because, as I said, it's not a one and done. So we're going to get ready to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to show you guys how I entered into my healing process using the tool of understanding. How I was able to look at those who hurt me the most, who shaped who I became, and use that as a tool on who I'm becoming. I'll see you guys in a few minutes after this next break.
Our new house is amazing. Great street, huge yard.
There is a bit of an issue with our neighbor's fencing. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
Which helps us save even more.
Hey, Sarah. Hey, Peter.
Touché.
What? I'm down.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
If you like this video, please share it.
And hit the subscribe button to watch more great Geico videos if you... Hey, guys, can you please watch the begonias? Just planted those.
Sorry.
Date, Houston's first private social club for couples.
This is Jay Williams, and I am representing myself and my husband Christopher as the real couple for Date. We are super excited about this opportunity. But just to give you a little quick review of how we actually met. Chris and I met in 2001 as colleagues while working at a major insurance company here in Houston. 2 years later, we started dating because we met again at a club. Actually, it was just a party. It wasn't actually a club. Anyway, I felt hard for him and he felt hard for me. Whenever he would call, I would say, my husband's calling. So I feel like I manifested our relationship and I have no regrets of that. Christopher and I got married in 2006. We've had a bumpy road. It has not been all juices and berries, but it has been worth it. The love we have for each other is real and it's strong, and it is faith-based. And so we have been married for 15 years now. We have 2 adult children and 1 amazing grandson.
Join Date today by visiting www.marriedate.com.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Hello. How are you guys? Based off of the definition and some of the stories that I share, can you sit there and really think about it? Think about how many things in our lives we misunderstand. And how many times do you say, yeah, I didn't get that right? Or I thought that person was XYZ. Or, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And that is the key to life, pretty much. Coming from a teen mom, addiction, alcoholism, assault, domestic violence, it leaves a lot of room to be misunderstood as well to understand. You know, now that we're back I told you I was going to talk to you guys about tangible things that I did. And the number one tangible thing is always to acknowledge something is off, so I need to do something. You don't always know what that something is. I knew I was broken. I knew I was hurting. I knew those that around me didn't understand me. So I'm like, I didn't fit in. Nobody gets me. I'm hurting and I don't even know what else hurts. I don't even know how to articulate the hurt and pain that I'm going through right now. So that started at a young age for me. I'm crying out, I'm asking, and I'm looking to adults, I'm looking to teachers, I'm looking to somebody to just get me. And it just kept going and going and going until I became an adult. And then when I became an adult, now I have children, little people myself. I call them little people. I had children. So I got little people to care for. So now it's no longer about me, but it's about them. But how am I going to truly instill my values when I don't know what my values are? So that takes us to the beginning of the process. And the beginning of the process was, I don't know what I need, but I know I want something different. I don't know how I'm going to stop this, but I choose to. I made a choice. I choose me, and everything else comes second. That is a motto I live by. That's a motto I teach. That's a motto I live. And the people misunderstood that as well. Because they're like, you're not supposed to be selfish. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But you're not listening to hear. You're listening to respond when you misunderstand that statement. See, because when I said, I choose me and everything else comes second, meant I choose life. I choose healing. I choose a better life. I choose for my children to grow up different. I choose not to be abused anymore. I choose my relationship with the Lord. I choose to serve. So in that box of I choose me, it's not self-centered. And me choosing me meant I had to take each and every last one of the things that I endured and look at them from a perspective of what was it, how it made me feel, how it grew me, and how it helped shape and mold me into the person that I am, into the person that I'm becoming, into how I show up. And that's what I try to explain to everyone that I come in contact with. What led my life for a long time was the desire to love and be loved. But because I didn't understand what that looked like and what life had dealt me was nothing that aligns with love, how can I give that? So that scripture that talks about love God first, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I tell my clients all the time, you truly do love your neighbors as you love yourself. So if you're a person of confusion, that's because you're confused on the inside. If you're a person of chaos, that's because on the inside you're chaotic. If you are mean, that's because you're being mean to yourself and you're broken and you haven't taken the time to heal, grow, and be nurtured so you can show up in what you got to be in alignment with your mind, your heart, and your spirit. So you can walk in freedom and you can be transparent and you don't have to worry about those daggers coming at you. I tell people all the time, nobody can use my past against me. Nobody can control me because of my past. Nobody can use my past to manipulate me because everything that I endured and overcame brought me to who I am today, that allows me to stand before people and to pour into them and say, there is hope. There is another side of that. There is a different way. So number one, I acknowledged. Number two, I processed. And now, number 3, I started walking in what I wanted to see. I started becoming understanding. I started putting myself in other people's shoes. I started seeing past the addiction, seeing past the adult temper tantrum, seeing past the man to see their heart, to see that they're broken, to see that they have trauma, to see that they're trying to figure it out. Sometimes people do things subconsciously because it's just how they grew up, not necessarily because that's who they are. It's something that they see, so they just repeat it. It becomes a cycle. So when you truly understand that and you encounter somebody who don't quite look like you, who don't quite sound like you, who don't quite articulate the way you do, who don't dress the way you do, who may be homeless, who may be an addict, who may be an alcoholic, can you take off your glasses and put theirs on? Can you see life for a minute through their perception? Because something got them there. Misunderstanding got them there, which all ties into poor choices and decisions, ties into being roped into the wrong situation, ties into manipulation, ties into control. There's so many layers to this thing. There's so many layers, and one thing about staying true to who I am is I always remember my core, my source, my why. My children gave me the will to live. My children gave me the will to heal. My children gave me the will to become better because I wanted more and better for them. They didn't deserve to suffer because I was broken. I was hurt. I was angry. I was confused. I was misunderstood. I always tell people, children are a gift. And we misuse that gift. We mismanage that gift. We misunderstand that gift. Friendships, relationships, jobs, all of these are gifts to help heal you, grow you, and mature you into the person that you're becoming. But it's all in your perception of how you receive them. If you take every situation about manipulating or controlling it to get something, you're going to lose something. But if you take that same situation as a gift and honor it, then you're going to give something, which is only enhancing who you are becoming and how you show up for the next person. I tell people all the time, you are somebody's answer. Somebody's looking for you. Somebody's crying out for you. Because the very thing that you walk through, that very thing that you grew from, is going to give them the hope and encouragement and strength to make it through for themselves. I may not have had people to help me, but I had the greatest person to help me, and that was the Lord. I have been walking with the Lord since I was 12 years old. That wasn't my first exposure, but that's when I got saved. And if it wasn't for my faith, I don't think I would be sitting before you guys today. I ain't even got to say I don't think. Honestly, no, I wouldn't be sitting before you guys today. So with our topic of understanding, you have to understand that if you have breath in your body, you have not completed your assignment. If you have breath in your body, you got time to heal. If you have breath in your body, you have time to forgive. If you have breath in your body, you have time to forgive. And as for forgiveness, you have time if you still have breath in your body. How many people have we lost over the last couple years. I've been sharing with a few people that when I left Pittsburgh the last time was in 2015. Since 2015, I have lost over 10 people. 6 this year. 6 this year, and we're only in August. And we're not talking about distant relatives. We're talking about grandparents. We're talking about siblings. We're talking about uncles. We've lost, our family has suffered some major losses. So for us to sit here and worry about the petty things and not try to truly get understanding, life isn't, you tell people, life is not promised. Because there's nothing in this world that would have told me that when I dropped my baby off, the next time I see her, she was going to be deceased. Nobody told me that. So I plead with you guys to sit down, slow down, learn how to process, learn how to understand, and see life through a different perspective. Look through somebody else's eyes. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Even if they crossed you before. It's not for you, it's for them. It's not for you, it's for them. To truly say, why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why did you make that choice or decision? Ask those questions. And then move on. Now that you have your answer, you have a choice to make. To move on, to love. I'm going to love you anyway. Don't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I agree. Doesn't mean I condone. But I chose a long, long time ago to love in spite of myself and in spite of you. So we're going to get ready to take our last break. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to give you guys some key scriptures that I use to help process some of these things, to help me along my journey. The scriptures I share with you guys are not just for one topic or another, but these are some that stuck out along my journey, and I use them across the board. You'll notice I will give you scriptures from week to week that may be the same. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes when you come back from our final break.
Oh my God! I just got through watching a great show on Boss Up Houston Network. Have you heard? They're bossing up, okay? And I heard they're looking for you. Any podcasters, talk show hosts, if you're a writer or producer, we definitely need you. Come aboard and boss up.
Are you a small business owner that is struggling to promote your company?
Our topic today is, what's your status?
Shoot the dice at this point.
You just shoot the dice. Roll the dice.
So,
Yes.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's attorneys.
I love it.
Imagine being televised on a national platform. How about being a host or sponsor on a syndicated podcast? Or being featured on exclusive promotions and interview for your product to your ideal customer? Hi, I'm Kayla Sneed, and I'm head of sales with Boss Up Houston. And here at Boss Up, we like to help small business owners and entrepreneurs advertise, promote, or become a sponsor for one of our television, podcast, or radio shows. All you have to do is click the link down below to see if you qualify. I'll be seeing you soon.
This is Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Stay up. Boss up.
Welcome back. I know I gave a lot of information, a lot of definitions, and I, you know, touched on a couple different things in a couple different areas when it comes to understanding. As we wrap up today's show, I just wanted to, make sure that this is just the beginning of you analyzing and thinking about how you are. Because most importantly for me, when I sit before you guys, it's for you to say, okay, I didn't think about this, or I didn't quite get that, or I didn't like this about myself. And in your self reflection time, have some tools to sit down with and think about where you're going. Think about who you are and those that are connected to you. One of my biggest things as a result of my childhood was abandonment issues, and which in my adulthood caused me to stay connected to people that season was over. It caused me to stay connected to friends, family, relationships longer than I was supposed to be. And when I didn't have clarity in that, it added more trauma. It added more layers. Instead of walking away, instead of having that conversation, that those real talks that we don't like to have, like, I love you, but we don't need to do this no more. I love you, but this time is over. I tell people all the time that seasons come and seasons go. We want to make jobs, businesses, friendships, relationships a lifetime thing that was supposed to be a seasonal thing. We want to take somebody that we meet and form them into our perception of who are they, what they are. And a lot of the times we don't know how to receive people for what they show you. And that's a part of understanding. Because for me to receive you where you are and understand that even though I may want us to be here, I have to accept that's where we're at right here. You could be my best friend. You can be a confidant. I told people I had friends, I had work friends, I had karaoke friends, I had bingo friends, I had associates, I had dance friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to bingo tonight. Let me call my bingo friends. I'm not going to call my dance friend to take them to bingo because I have an understanding that this friendship is where this is. It doesn't take away from this friendship. And when we are becoming our best versions of ourselves, that is key. That is key to know the capacity of who you are, to know what you like, because that aids in whether people understand you or don't understand you, what they can and cannot expect from you, where they can and cannot go with you. But it doesn't mean that anything is right or wrong. It doesn't mean that they're not good or bad. What it is a fact. It's a reality. Everybody is not meant to go where you're going. Everybody is not meant to do what you're doing. Everybody is not meant to have what you have. Everybody's experience is not going to be your experience. And when you have a true understanding of looking at my past, looking at my trauma, how it formed me, how it shaped me, what can I use to go forward? What do I have to let fall off? Because it's irrelevant. Because it doesn't mean nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you're not evolving and you're not growing and you're not healing, you're stuck in stagnation, which means now everybody else controls and determines where you go. So if we have understanding, We have that. We have that as a tool to stand in and on. I tell people before, I had so much chaos going on, I had so much turmoil going on, I couldn't make a clear decision. So I just went with the flow. Somebody said, we're going here, okay. Somebody said, I ended up in relationship after relationship because I didn't have a voice. I had a voice. It was an angry voice. But I let myself guard down to walk into situations that didn't mean me no harm, mean me no good, because I didn't have an understanding of who I was and what I truly, truly wanted out of life. So the last top thing that I want to give you is a few scriptures so you can read them, sit with them, see how they speak to you, see if they're relevant to you, where you are and where you're going, and in your healing process. The first scripture I want to give you is Proverbs 2:6. Proverbs 2:6. Now, you know we don't read them here. We might have a day that we just go through scripture and I talk about what that looks like for me in my life today. As I tell everybody, as you heal, as you grow, and as you mature, scripture will change. It'll grow with you. It'll mean something more. It'll mean something different to you. So that's basically from the mouth of God. From the mouth of God, he's telling you who you are, what you are. Proverbs 4:5-7. In all things, get wisdom and understanding. The word tells us to seek it. Seek it out. Seek wisdom. Seek understanding. Seek revelation. In order to know where you're going, you have to have a plan. You have to know what that plan is. You have to know how to execute. Proverbs 3:5. One of my favorites. Lean not to my own understanding. Because there's a lot of choices and decisions that were made for me in my life when I was younger that I didn't understand. But God has used those things in how I show up today. So it allows me to, because I got understanding and revelation and knowledge from him of the things of the past, it allows me the space to continue to move forward when I still don't understand. If I have a message from God telling me to do something, I do it. Might not have all the pieces. I might not have this. I might not have that. But I know I got a word from the Lord and I move in it. And I trust him. And I lean not to my own understanding. Galatians 5:22-23. Live by it. Love it. It's the fruit of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, forgiveness, self-control. Walk in the fruit. Because if you're walking in the fruit of the Spirit, that means you're also understanding that these things here are surface. But the fruit is how I continue to move. It's how I continue to move. And continue to be able to have grace, continue to be able to understand, to continue to be able to be patient, not allow the enemy to steal my joy, rob me of my happiness, because I made a choice. James 3:13-18. What is in you shows. What's in you shows. Strife, confusion, chaos, love, understanding, support. It's all shows. And when you start, you're going to reap what you sow. So if I sow discord, I'm going to reap discord. If I sow love, I'm going to reap love. Ephesians 4:1-6. And in all things, use maturity and unity. I'm always trying to find that thing that we get along with, we can agree on, to bring unity to the masses, to help as many people. I don't pick on the things that I don't understand or the things I don't like. I choose to lead with love. So You know, that's the end of our show today. And I just wanted to leave you with those scriptures so it would help you process. And the understanding piece is something that you're going to use and grow for the rest of your life. You get more understanding the longer you live. Whether it's technical, whether it's schooling, whether it's understanding yourself, understanding a job responsibility, understanding your children. Children is a great teacher if you let them be. So I just want you guys to know, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You have power in your tongue. The words that come out your mouth is either speaking life or speaking death. I choose to speak life. That's why I always tell you guys, I love you with the agape love of God, and there's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because I do. There is no rhyme or reason to it. I made the choice and I walk in it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and join me next week, because next week we're going to dive into brokenness. If you haven't noticed, we talked about love, support, and understanding, and how that's going to tie into brokenness. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful week. See you on the book. Hi, beautiful. How are you today? I'm Tisha Dobie, and welcome to Power, Passion, and Purpose, where every woman has the opportunity to discover your powers, your passions, and God's purpose for your life. We will be diving into healing, growing, and maturing, and becoming all that God has for you to be. Tune in every week on Sundays at noon on the Boss Up Houston Network. I'll see you on the inside. Have a great day.